and see the real thing. Come and see the real thing. Come and
Okay, it's me again. This time I'm going to tie the a brim gurgler, which is you know, basically it's a shrimp. That's it there. So you know, it looks like a shrimp from the side, but it's got the foam on the top, and it is actually gurgler foam that I've used on the top, and then it's just a matter of tying it like a shrimp rather than the way you would normally do a gurgler. So that's the view from underneath, or basically that's what the fish is going to see. So that's what I'm going to do today. That's a size 2 hook, which if you actually put it next to a mustard stinger hook is fairly much the same shape and size, just that it's stainless steel and slightly thicker. It's not the thin wire that they use in the mustard hooks for bass. So you know, if you're going to do this and you're going to use it for bass, I would still tie it on a stainless steel hook. Okay, so what you're going to need, some foam. So the foam I'm using in this is actually 3mm thick gurgler foam. It's core, but you know, as long as you can get 3mm thick foam, and just get white, and if you want to colour it different colours, use a permanent marker. So you need to cut it to shape. That's the rough shape there. So what I've basically done, I've actually got some gurgler templates that I use when I'm tying gurglers, and you know, it just makes it so much easier to get the same shape each time. So you know, there's one of the templates. It's actually the lid of a Chinese container, but you can see on it says gurgler number 6 to number 4, but it's fine for the size 2 shrimps that I do, because you don't actually tie the foam in the same as you do for a normal gurgler. If anyone wants to copy the templates that I've got, then by all means give me a yell, and I'll trace around them, and you can cut them out to your heart's content. So you're going to need foam. I've used, this is fox fur, so it's olive fox fur, for the you know, front feelers of the fly. You know, crystal flash, whatever colour tickles your fancy. Again, there for the antennae of the shrimp. Grizzly hackle, so that becomes the legs, and the grizzly looks good because it has got that black pattern through it. And that's the eyes, obviously the shrimp eyes. So that's just an epoxy shrimp eye that I make. You can buy them, but it's fairly easy to make them. You just take a piece of mono. This is about 17-pound mono. Just burn the end into a ball, and then mix up some epoxy. For the red, I just put a little bit of red water-based paint in, and mix it through the epoxy. Make sure you don't put too much, or it'll stop the epoxy setting properly. So you can do whatever colour you want. I usually do red and sort of a clear with a black pupil when I do these. But yeah, they're just mono stalks, and you know, using somewhere around 17-pound gives you the stiffness, but also gives you enough of a ball. If you use anything thinner, you don't get the ball big enough at the top of the eye. You can also do them in 30-pound, so that's another option if you want them thick and they don't splay as much. Okay, so the first step is to tie in some of the olive fox fur. If you haven't got fox fur, and let's face it, not many people are going to have fox fur. I'm starting to run low on it. You can get it, but marabou would work. Anything like that would work just as well. It's just just gives you the movement. The only reason I like the fox fur is you get those nice little tips on it. So we'll tie in the fox fur the same as you would a tail on a normal gurgler, or on the tail of a woolly bugger. So let's just check that to the front. Now I leave that in because it just thickens up the base of the hook a little bit for when you go to do your hackle. So we'll go along and tie that in. Tie it down. It also will stop your fox fur coming out at the end. Okay, so you tie in a couple of bits of foam either side of the hook, and that just thickens the hook up a little bit at the front to help with the eyes. So the next thing is just take a couple of strands of your crystal flash, and we tie that in either side of that fox fur. So one bit on this side, fold that over, and the other piece on the other side, and that's basically your antennae for the fly. Okay. Now the next bit is to tie in your eyes. So you get your eyes and just turn your hook slightly, makes it easier. And you want the eye just past the bend of the hook a little bit. So let me just tie this in, and then I'll turn it around, and you'll see what that looks like. And the thing, as I said, with the mono is it gives you a chance to tie it in, but you can see just past the bend of the hook, and just splayed out slightly from the body of the fly. Okay, so once you've done that, cut the mono off. Don't use your sharp scissors unless you like replacing them regularly. Okay, so then do the same, just measure it up on the one you've just tied in, just to ensure that you know, they're in line with each other, and then tie it in again and bring it back, and that, like I said, that foam will help splay the eyes out so they're not sitting flat against the shank of the hook. There you go, there the eyes in. Okay, so next what we need to do is fill the gap here and a little bit of the gap under here. So tie in a little bit of fox fur again at the top. And that just gives us a little bit more of a body between the eyes and the shank of the hook. Cut that off, wind it down again. And then underneath I use hot orange, just to give, you know, because shrimps have got that little bit of orange at the front, and that just looks a bit different. It looks good going. It looks good through your hackle too once you've wound your hackle on. Okay, so hackle time. Take your hackle, pull some of the feathers back so you've sort of created something that looks a bit like that, and just take the very tip of the hackle and tie that along the back of your fly like so, and that's not going to come off then. Okay, bring your thing down to there. Now some people use hackle pliers, I just use my fingers. So we bring that around, some nice loops, and you can see already it sort of looks like legs. Bring it right up to the eye, do a few turns around the eye so it's a bit thicker there, and I'll show you what that does when I do it off. Sort of just try and push it all forward. Take your thread, try and trap the rest of the feather in the thread like that. Done. Scissors, careful not to cut your thread. That's your feather gone. So you can see that already looks very shrimp like. Now the next bit is probably the trickiest bit, because we've got to basically take the mono all the way back to the front of the hook through the hackle. Now what I wrapped extra wraps around there, and then I push it all forward and sort of wrap back a little bit, and that helps push the feathers in that direction, so they are legs that are on an angle on the fly. Okay, so the trick here to get the mono back through the hackle is sort of move the bodkin around like that, and that sort of prevents you trapping a lot of hair underneath the thread. And then once you get to here, just try and make sure you've got no thread trapped like that. So the next bit now is to put the foam on. Now you'll notice on the one I've already done, I've actually wrapped the foam 1, 2, 3, 4 places, and that sort of gives you that shell carapace sort of look. So that's what we're going to do here. So the pointy end of the foam goes at the top, and just sort of measure it up so you've got enough at the back there just above the hook eye to get that gurgler sort of movement happening. So we tie this in, pull it down, try to keep it fairly straight as we go. A few wraps, bring it back through the hackle again, and a couple of wraps there like that. Then we bring it back through the hackle again, and a couple of wraps here. Don't worry if the foam bends on you, you can straighten it up as you go. And then the last one is straight to the hook eye, and pull all your feathers forward, make sure they're out of the way, and then tie it down onto the hook eye. Okay, like that. And you can see you've got your shrimp back, you've got the front part sticking up like it does on a shrimp, and it's pointed like it is on a shrimp. You can see the eyes through it, you can see it from underneath, you can see the orange and then the eyes sticking out, and you've got all the hackle here sticking down like little legs, and actually when that's in the water and you start to pull it through, they're actually going to move. So you know, it's going to look quite realistic. Okay, so a few wraps around the foam at the back, and then just whip finish across the top of the foam and around the hook eye, and you're pretty well done. Okay, so a few of those, and then head cement. If you've got head cement, make sure you put a bit of head cement on. If you don't have head cement, I would suggest possibly going underneath here and just putting some nail polish or something just over those wraps there. Once you get a fish or two on that, sometimes the wraps tend to come undone. But that's it. There's your finished fly, ready to go and fish. And you know, we're coming up now to the time when you know, the prawns start running this month. So you know, get out around the oyster leases or the sand flats and pull a couple of these across the surface, especially late afternoon into the evening, and hopefully you'll get a few fish. But that's it. That's the shrimp gurgler size 2. Enjoy that, guys.
Come and see the real thing. Come and see the real thing. Come and see the real thing. Come and